did. I'm very
so welcome.
Elf.
Right. So I'm just checking. Do we have a bit of a lag, or are we good?
I think we're okay.
Okay, good. That's wonderful. So, if you are just joining us, and you know that I'm normally on here with KJ Waters, who is another author. We do something called Blondie and the Brit, Writing, Publish and Beyond. We have a podcast with nearly 100 podcasts over on Podbean or YouTube that you can also check out. And if you I'm sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once here. So you can go and check us out over there on YouTube. And we've moved over to TikTok because we love the live aspect. You guys can talk to us. You can ask us questions. And so today, I don't have KJ with me, but I have the wonderful, lovely, I do have a blonde, but she's not American. She's a Brit like me. So it's the Brit and the Brit today, not Blondie and the Brit. But she is a blonde and she's looking very suntanned. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Kim? I've got a little intro I can do as well. And then why don't you tell us who you are and where you're from and where you are right now?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you very much, firstly, for inviting me. We should be perhaps called the Brummie and the Brummie tonight, maybe.
The Brummie and the Brummie. That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I am actually not a Brummie. I am from Staffordshire, but I just sound like a Brummie.
Oh, is that posher when you say that, Kim, is it?
Yeah, everybody thinks posh, you say. So I come from Cannock in Staffordshire, which is, for those of you who are watching in America, is right in the middle of the UK. I work for publisher Bookouture, who is Suzanne's publisher, and I'm head of publicity over there. I write books of my own. I've got 4 published books, and I've got one on the go, which should be published soon-ish, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
We will. I run a book club of my own, a real-life book club where we actually get together and talk about books. And it's a book club with a bit of a difference, so we can maybe talk about that as well. What else? I organise local book events. So I've teamed up with a local museum, which is close to me. So it's the lovely venue, people who love books. And we just kind of arrange local sort of author and reader get-togethers as well. So, yeah, I'm a bit of a book.
As people are coming in, Kim, if they want to find out more about you right at the top of the hour here, where would they find you on social media?
Well, I started as a blogger more than anything, and my blogging name is Kim the Bookworm. So I am normally sort of anywhere you can find me, I will be Kim the Bookworm. So I'm on Facebook as Kim the Bookworm. I'm on Twitter as Kim the Bookworm. On Instagram, I'm Kim_the_bookworm. And on here, I'm Kim the Bookworm. And then strangely enough, my website is Kim the Bookworm.
Kim the Bookworm. Cool. So let me tell you a little bit more about Kim. She's actually the finalist in the 2020 Amazon Kindle Storyteller Award. I've never got ever been awarded for anything in books. That's very exciting, Kim. And she's the author of uplifting, funny, heartwarming, romantic, feel-good fiction, and has wanted to write books since she was a little girl. And we're going to talk about her books a little bit. But I thought, for fun, Kim, just to get us warmed up, we'll do a quick fire round just to find out who you are up front. Is that okay?
Okay.
Well, it's actually more of a medium fire round because some of the questions are a little bit longer to answer. So we'll see how we get on. Some of them are really easy. So, okay, here we go. Kim, beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay. Your favourite day of the week?
Oh, Friday.
Is that because you only work half a day?
I work half a day, and I always arrange.
Your very first celebrity crush?
Oh my goodness, mate. Magnum.
Was it the moustache, not you, was it?
Yeah.
Favourite junk food?
Chinese takeaway.
Oh, yum. Person who has most inspired you? That's a little deeper.
Oh, goodness me. I'm going to go with, because it's off the top of my head, Oliver Rhodes.
Oh.
Is the man that changed my life, I suppose.
So tell us a little bit about that. I know a little bit about the story, but everybody. Oh, Noelle's on here. Hi, Noelle. Give us a few hearts. Good to see you. But yeah, tell us a little bit about, just a short little bit about Oliver Reed and how he affected your life.
Yeah, Ollie started Bookouture So he was the person that set up the company. I was just a blogger that lived in Staffordshire. I was a single mom, and he, I suppose, gave me the opportunity to work in publishing, which is something I've always wanted to do. Never thought it would be possible. But he set up Bookouture because he wanted to give every author a fair chance. So yeah, he set it up, and when I joined him, I joined on a freelance basis, and he was the only person there doing everything, and he wanted somebody to do some sort of give him some support, but he couldn't afford to take anybody on. This was 10 years ago, because Bookouture he's 10 years old this year. So I joined him after about a year and a half, I think, of him working on his own.
Wow.
He just made me feel that anything was possible, and he's the person that, you know, kind of gave me a chance to work in publishing, gave me the confidence to feel that it was okay to write my own books, and basically just do anything that I wanted to.
Well, that's great. Thank you. And that was a little bit of a longer answer, but it's really fun to hear that. Okay. Do you prefer paperbacks, Kindles, audiobooks?
Kindle.
What superpower do you wish you had?
Bringing people back from the dead.
I know somebody special, I'm sure. Yeah. What favourite social media and why?
Probably Facebook, because I can share lots, and I live on my own. I live on my own with my son. So
you're not on your own, Kim.
No,
When you got kids, you know.
I don't live with another adult. I live with a 14-year-old. 14-year-old. He's not another adult.
He will be soon enough. You wait. It won't take long. They grow up fast.
And I think Facebook just lets me kind of chat to people and tell them what I'm thinking.
Okay, some writer's question. Which part of the writing process is the hardest for you?
All of it. The hard bit for me is putting my bum on the seat.
Okay. So all you need to do is, if you get your bum in your seat, you're good. You can go for it. Which part of the writing is the easiest? I'm guessing if it's all hard, you haven't got a part that's easy.
No, I don't find any of it. Well, I don't find any of it easy, but I do enjoy it once I get into the swing of it.
Cool. And do you believe in love at first sight?
Oh, there's a good question. Yeah, I think I do, but I don't think I've experienced it.
Do you ever write about love at first sight?
I haven't, no.
Oh, I've always been a bit, I'm not sure one way or the other, but I would like to write about it just to see how that works out.
I'm a bit of a cynical old cow, to be truthful, so.
You know, I was going to ask you about that, because you write feel-good romances. And so do you set your romances like at a younger, what sort of age range are your protagonists? Are they your age, or do you go for a younger protagonist normally?
Younger, I think, in most of them, but probably guided by other people that have told me to do that. In my third book, Sunshine and Second Chances, there were 4 women, and they were all my age, so they all went away to celebrate 50th birthdays, and I absolutely loved writing that, and I think that's what I want to go back to writing.
Yeah, because it's what you know, and that's what I'm about to say, because I think as you get older, you do get more cynical about love, just because you've been through through it a bit longer. And so I wondered if that affected you. Does that affect you when you are writing? Do you find yourself writing a younger protagonist and go, well, that would never happen, but writing it anyway? Or what do you do?
I think I write the things that I would like to happen, but I am the person that goes to a wedding and goes, oh, that's lovely. It won't last.
It won't. Do you say it won't last? Well, don't come to my wedding. Yeah, you're too funny. Oh, good. So we've kind of got into your writing. So tell us a little bit about your books, and then we'll talk about how you got into writing. So what have you got out right now? And give us a little synopsis of some of the books that you have. Noelle's not going to be here long, but thank you for your likes, Noelle. That's helping us get out to more people.
So this was my very first book.
Okay.
Amazing Grace.
And I've always loved that cover, Kim. I know that you went back and forth, but I've always thought that was an amazing cover. I've always loved it.
Yeah, but to be honest, that was the cover that I was with a publisher for my first 2 books, and this was my first one. And when she showed me, I loved it, absolutely loved it straight away. And it was kind of everything that I thought it would be, I think. So yeah, that's my first book. It's about a woman, should I say, who is a single mom with a son, and she's trying to sort of navigate her way through her life. And her friend thinks she needs a bit of a shake-up because she's quite happy to stop in on a Saturday night, watch X Factor in her company garden. I don't know where I got this from.
I know, God, talk about writing what you know, Kim.
Her friend thinks you need a bit of a shake-up, and she makes her kind of take a bit of a stock of her life and go and do something. And then one day, a lovely man turns up on her doorstep.
You just wish that would happen. Carry on.
And funnily enough, some of this is little bit autobiographical.
Now that's going to make everybody want to read it, Kim.
And yeah, it's about this guy called Vinny. He turns up on her doorstep, and he's come to cut some trees down in her garden, or prune her bushes, should I say?
No, he's come to prune her bushes, has he? Well, I think we'll keep it clean, but carry on.
But she's also navigating her way through the loss of a mom, which I can relate to, and that's kind of where that book came from, to be honest.
Yeah. So let me ask a question, because I am seeing a lot of autobiographical, or whatever that is, crossover for you. Did you decide to write this because you wanted to write about your experience, or did you think, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to use my own experience? What was the trajectory, the energy that got you into writing this first book?
16 years ago this year, my mum died. She'd been poorly, she'd had cancer, and as a family, mum was the centre of our lives for all of us. And she, obviously we didn't, it was the first person that close to us, obviously, that we'd lost. And she left behind me, my sister and my dad. And we were all that worried about upsetting each other all the time. I don't think any of us actually told each other how we felt.
Wow.
Because if I said to my sister, oh my God, I'm so upset, I knew it would upset her. If I said the same to my dad, I knew it would upset him. So we kind of, I think, probably pussyfooted around each other quite a lot. And I started to write down my feelings, and I also started to write what my mum would say to me if she had the opportunity to talk to me from heaven. So fast forward a few years, I've had my son. I kind of wrote it at the time, never went back to it. And then I was looking through my computer.
So was it more of a journal at that point, Kate, or was it actually a story?
No, it was more of a journal. And then I kind of came across it on my laptop, and it was a few years later. My son was starting to grow up. I got a bit of time to myself. My partner and I had split up. So at the times when Ollie went to his dad's, I was I'd got free time on my hands, didn't really know what to do myself. So I started writing, and that's kind of where it came from.
Wow. And did you think it was going to be a book, or were you just kind of like, I'm just going to see if I can do it? Did you have any kind of plans when you first started publishing?
Yeah, I wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to write a book, and I've sat there for years going, I'd love to write a book. And it took me a very long time to work out that the only way I was going to be able to write a book was if I actually wrote the book.
I know, it sucks, doesn't it? It's funny. I've just been working on some synopses for pitching, and I'm like, to Matthew, these are great books. I hope somebody else can write them.
Weird, because I just thought, do you know what? It's really weird, but this book is not going to write itself. Nobody else is going to.
I don't know what the hell that's about, but yeah. Well, cool. So that's a really cool journey. So once you got finished your manuscript, did you look for a publisher, or had you already got a publisher in mind? How did you get connected with your publisher?
I was really lucky, to be honest. So,
were you working for Bookshire at the time? So were you in the industry a little bit? Okay, carry on then.
And I'd also been on a couple of writing courses with author Miranda Dickinson, who is a really good friend of mine, and she used to run some brilliant courses, which I used to go along to, and that kind of gave me a bit of confidence. And then I remember actually going to a function. And I'd said to somebody, because Miranda said, you need to own the fact that you're a writer. Because I never used to tell anybody. It was kind of like my dad. And Miranda said, you need to tell people that you're writing a book. So I remember saying at this function, oh, I'm writing a book. And somebody said to me, oh, God, not somebody else that's writing a book. Everybody thinks they can write a book. And I'd pushed my head up out the parapet. I said this, and I'm off a bit longer, and I did some writing. And then I think, again, it was Oliver, and I'd said I was writing, and he kind of encouraged me to do it. And then because I was working at Bookature, I kind of braved it and told people I was writing. One of the editors at Bookature said that she would read it, but she was quite new to us, and it was lovely of her to say she would read it, but she was so busy, she really didn't have time to read it. I'd sent it to an agent. So Miranda's agent had said to me, I obviously told her I was writing, and she said, are you going to send me your book? And I oh my God, this is it. This is it. I've got an agent. She wants me to send my book. I'm going to get my book published. It's going to have all sorts of things going on. It's going to be fantastic. I am going to be a published author. And after about 3 months, I messaged the agent, and I found an excuse to message her, to be honest, because she hadn't responded to me. And I just said something about something I was organising. And then I went, oh, and by the way, did you have a chance to have a look at my manuscript? And she came back and she went, oh, yeah, I'm really sorry I didn't get back to you. It's not really what we're looking for. I just feel like there's something missing. So I was like, oh, that's rubbish. So I kind of went back to it, did some work on it, and then...
did she give you feedback about what she felt was missing? Oh, so you just had to figure it out yourself.
So I went back to do some work on it, and then one of the editors at Bookature was leaving to set up her own publishing company, and she was on gardening leave, and she said to me...
She was on gardening leave?
Yeah.
What's gardening leave?
Gardening leave. You can't carry on working at your company, but you don't leave, so you still get paid, but you're kind of at home doing nothing.
Oh, I like it. I want gardening leave, but carry on. That sounds cool.
So she basically got nothing to do, and she said, what are you going to do with your book, Kim? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I have no idea. And she said, do you want me to read it and give you some feedback?
Oh, good.
That would be amazing. And I was scared to death, but I plucked the courage and I sent it. And that's kind of where my publishing deal came from.
So you actually went with her publishing company, the one that she'd set up? Oh, I didn't realise that. And she read it and she loved it. Did she give you feedback? Did she want to change things? She messaged me and said, can I give you a call about your book? And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. And I sat down and she said, I've read your book and I would like to publish it. And I kind of went... I got very choked up because there is a lot of me in this book and there is a lot of my mum in the book. And I did feel very emotional at the time. And she went, but I have to tell you, it needs a lot of work. Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm prepared to do whatever, you want me to do. So she, and we talked, it was quite funny. And she said, so we want to bring this book out in April. She said, and then in September, we want to bring out your second book. And I went, brilliant. And then I went, all right, my second book.
The one I haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah, and I kind of went, my second book. Excuse my dog in the background.
I know, he's lovely though. Such a beautiful colour, your dog. But carry on.
Yeah, and so she said, yes, you need to write a second book and you need to write it really quickly. And I was like, okay. So I then went off and wrote this one, which is my second book.
And let's read that out because I think it is backward on the screen so people can see that.
Giddywell Grange.
Escape to Giddywell Grange. Okay,
yeah.
And what's that one about?
It was actually inspired by when I take my dog for a walk. There's a signpost that I go past called Giddywell Lane. And I kind of went, oh, I like that word. So that is about somebody who was made redundant from her job, a girl called Maddie, and she realised that she'd kind of put everything into her work and her job at the detriment of her family. So she kind of, her friends and everybody went by the wayside. She threw everything into her job. So when she was made redundant, she'd literally got nothing. So she goes back to Giddywell, which is her village that she came from, and she reconnects with her school friend and spends some time with her mom. And at the same time, she's fell out with her boyfriend sort of right at the beginning as well. So she's kind of literally got nothing. Goes back and her friend has a dog kennels and daycare centre. And her friend has to go and have an operation and can't run the daycare centre. So Maddie fills in for her and goes and runs the daycare centre. And it's kind of about her finding out what the important things in life are. And
oh, wow.
You can kind of throw everything at work, but it's, memories that you make along the way and the people that you meet are kind of the important people.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. So did you you got such a quick amount of time to write this second book, Kim? Did you just come up with the idea and did you plot it because you had to go so fast, or did you pants it?
No, I did. I plotted that one. The first one took me years to write, so I didn't plot that. However, with that one, I did plot it more. Again, a lot of it was, some of it was based on my experience, because I was made redundant from a job that I absolutely loved, and it knocked me for 6 when I was made redundant, both financially and knocked my confidence and my self-esteem. So I kind of could write about the main character from that side of things. And obviously I'd not long had a dog. I was mixing with doggy daycare places and all sorts of things. And who doesn't love a dog in a book?
I know. Who doesn't love a dog? I love that you do books that are so relatable. Like, just listening to what I love, sometimes you'll read a book, particularly in this genre, and you read it and you think that would never happen to anybody. Like, they have these strange storylines where they just happen to get a letter through the post and they've inherited a mansion in southern Spain. And I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but it's like, it feels very relatable to everyday people. Whereas what I'm hearing from your stories is it's very relatable and very real, and anyone could go, oh yeah, that could be me, or that could be my friend, or whatever. And I think that's really important in this genre, is to make books that are relatable, and it sounds like they are. I just want to give you some feedback. Noelle is back. She says, I'll watch you while I'm washing my dishes. I've given you 2K likes. She has tired hands. God bless you, Noelle. You're a wonderful lady. We love her. She's another lady who also works for Bookercher and is an author, and she's going to come on. She's promised me she'll come on as well and talk about her books, because she has a new book coming out as well. So yeah, so wonderful. So those were the first 2 books, and you published them, it sounds like, almost back to back.
Really exciting. And then I decided that I was going to self-publish.
Okay, so stop for a second. What was the decision? I mean, you don't have to be bad about the publisher or anything, but what was your decision going from being published to making a big step, which is self-publishing, which takes a lot more expense and stuff? What was your thought process in that? Because a lot of us are hybrid.
Yeah, and I think I worked out that I was a control freak, basically. So I suppose working for a publisher, I had some inside information. I kind of knew how things worked. I knew how quickly I could do things myself. And I just wanted to have a go at self-publishing. Also, I will just say, my publisher never talked to me about doing any more books with them. So it wasn't that we didn't...
It wasn't that you walked away. It's the fact that was... Yeah.
I just kind of went, well, I've written my 3rd one, and, we hadn't discussed it, so I'm going to self-publish it and see what happens.
Perfect. So, what I do love, Kim, is that your covers are all gorgeous. And even though this is a self-published book, you wouldn't know that was self-published. I mean, sometimes you can really tell a self-published book, but that is absolutely gorgeous. I love the fonts. I love the graphic on it. The colours are incredible. I remember when I very first saw this book, and I thought the same thing. It makes me want to go on holiday so bad. But tell us a little bit about Sunshine and Second Chances.
It's 4 women. So we've got Liv, who everybody thinks has got the perfect life. Debs, who's newly single. Fiona was caring for her mom, and Samantha is grieving for her husband, and she's also got empty nest syndrome because her son has gone back to university. So they're all either 50 or approaching their 50th. And Liv had said that they all went away for their 21st birthday and said, when we're 50, we're all going to go away for our 50th birthday. So Liv is the one who made it happen. So she organised everything. Liv's got quite a lot of money, so they ended up going to this luxury villa in the Algarve in Portugal.
Oh, lovely.
It's a place that I love, absolutely. So it's kind of about that, and it's about what I wanted to write about was strong women supporting each other, and what happens when strong women support each other. So, they motivate each other, they lift each other, they encourage each other, they just encourage each other to be the best version of themselves that they can be, I suppose, and live their lives. So they're all feeling a bit stuck in a rut, very much fed up, and between themselves and lots of other things that happen in Portugal, they kind of discover themselves again and get their second...
It sounds like a Shirley Valentine for 4 women, kind of like that, a little bit older, trying to figure out their lives. I love it. It sounds like a beautiful story, Kim. Did you have some inspiration for that one? How did that one come about?
think just everyday inspiration, listening to what things that my friends say, listening to things that go on about with people around me. You know, the fact that I had a friend who I thought had the perfect life, and it came out that, you know, when we talked, that she wasn't getting what she wanted from her life. And I think it was that more than anything that kind of gave me the inspiration. And I can honestly say that's the book that I loved writing the most. It's also the book that, thanks to you, Suzanne Kelman, that because
I'm sorry, I missed that. What did you say?
The book that I wrote really quickly.
Oh,
so I was really quite stuck with it, and then you and I kind of did a bit of a weekly challenge.
Yes.
And I was sort of ringing you on it, like getting in touch on a Sunday and saying I haven't done it, that I'd like quickly knock out 13,000 words in a week.
You are a really fast writer, though. I mean, what I love, you know, you can inspire people, but so unless people are really committed to the writing, like I've had people that I've tried to inspire, and they're like, "Yeah, well, I tried, and I didn't." But you don't need much, and you're gone. You'll do it. That's what is amazing. You're like that kind of a person. Once you've got that inspiration, you're off.
But it's getting my bum in the seat that's the problem, because I will find any can to not sit at my desk and do it.
So why do you think that? Because you've just done 2 books back to back. They did well, right? They both did pretty well, those books. And then you've got this third one. What do you think? Do you think it was like third book syndrome, or what was it that just made you not want to, even though you knew the story you wanted to write? Or was it like something to do with the plot that you were struggling with? Can you remember? Because I know as writers, we always have different things we're struggling with.
I think it was a bit of everything, to be honest, at the time. And I think also because I work full time at book, I can honestly say I'm knackered. The end of the day comes.
Yeah.
Shattered promoting other people's books and talking about books and reading books. And I get to the end of the day. And I absolutely love reading. So, you know, if somebody said to me, do you want to read this book or do you want to go and write your own? I'm always going to read the book because... So, you know, I've kept finding lots of things to do apart from writing. But when I did get my bum in the seat, I wrote that really quickly.
You love that book. It sounds like an incredible book. You said that's your favourite one you've written so far, you feel? Just because that's because it's relatable at your age, and it's isn't the story that you would want for your own life, like supportive friends. And yeah, I love books like that too.
And it was inspired really by my own supportive friends, because I have such an amazing friendship group. And those friends are people that support me all the time. So that's kind of properly from the heart.
So if you just joined us, I know some people are popping in and out. I'm talking to Kim Nash. She's also here under Kim the Bookworm. You can find her on social media. We're talking about her process. She's in the books that she's published. So do go check her out. If you are on my feed and liking, make sure you go over to Kim the Bookworm and like her too, so that you can be following her journey, because she's got some great books. If you like feel-good romance, down to earth, you know, family dynamics, that kind of thing, then go check out Kim's books. You will absolutely love them. So that's the 3. So you have one more, right? Don't you have one more, or is that the last one there?
Moonlight.
Okay, so tell us about this one.
So this is my latest one, and it's kind of inspired by a place that I used to visit when I was a child. So my dad had a butcher's shop. And because he was always working, so he worked weekends, and he didn't get holidays off or anything like that. So my nan used to take us every school holiday to a place called Muddleford in Dorset, and we used to spend all our time. Her sister lived down there, so we used to go and spend all our time at auntie's house with her, with my nan, and we used to spend some wonderful summers. So that was me and my sister, and I just wanted to set a book there. So this is about a lady called Nell who lives in the Midlands. All my characters live in the Midlands, so they all kind of live in Staffordshire.
They all live down the road from you, Kim.
They all do. They live around. She is having a crappy day, gets home, finds out that her boyfriend's leaving her, then her job's unsafe, and she gets a letter. You were saying earlier on, unbelievable. Gets a letter from the solicitors to say that her auntie, who she used to spend lots of the summer holidays with, who she became estranged from over the years, had died and had left her something in a will, and she has to go to Dorset to find out what it is.
Dorset, though, that's nice.
Big little. So I created a place called Muddleford rather than Muddyford.
So it was close enough to you.
So that people couldn't go, you can't drive down that street because it's a one-way street and things like that.
Yeah.
I make up my own.
Yeah, I do that too. Sometimes it's just have it a little bit off so you can't have people, knowing the place and then correcting you on it, which is a pain. It's more difficult with historical fiction, but well, yeah, definitely if you can.
So Nell goes back to Dorset and finds out that she's inherited lots of things from her auntie.
Wow.
That she used to go to all the time. There was a boy next door called Jack when she used to go there years ago, and she was madly in love with Jack. He was her childhood crush, and Jack still lives next door.
So is that the love interest?
And Jack's a gorgeous vet.
Does he have a dog?
You'll have to read the book to find out. There is a dog in the book.
There's definitely a dog in the picture, so that gives us hope. Kim does love dogs, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was a dog in there.
I think what's lovely about this is because obviously Muddyford's a real place. Last year on holiday, we went to Dorset and we went to Muddyford. And I went and took some pictures of this book on the beach, and we went to my auntie's house. And I was with my son, and we drove up outside, and I'd got a copy of the book in my car, and I said to him, I just feel like that book needs to be in that house. And he went, go and knock on the door, Mum. And I went, and he went, Mum, go and knock on the door. This is going to be your only chance.
So your auntie doesn't live there anymore?
No, Auntie Wynne died years and years ago. So...
Oh, I've got all chilly.
I knocked on the door of this house, and this man answered the door, and he said, hello. And I went...
Was he tall, dark and handsome with a dog? No, never mind, carry on.
But he said, and I just said, this is going to be the strangest knock on the door that you've probably ever had in your life. But we used to come to this house a lot when we were kids, me and my sister, and I wrote a book, and the book is the book. The house is the house in the book. And I just want this book to live in this house. Can I give you a copy of this book? And he said, yes. So we talked about the book a bit. And then he said those magic words to me. Would you like to come in and have a look round?
Oh, how lovely.
So, nearly 40 years after I'd been in this house for the last time.
Wow, I want to cry. It's just such a lovely story.
And I came out and I'd fetched Ollie. Ollie came in with me. And it was really emotional. It was really nice for the man because I could kind of go, oh, well, it used to be like this and I remember this. And, it's still got the same fireplace in the house.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said to him, we kind of went to walk through the back and I went, have you still got the fish pond in the garden? And he went, no, it's been bricked in. So it was literally the same as it was, but it had just been bricked over. And it was just amazing. And I got back in the car and I got this big beam on my face and I rang my sister and I said, you never guess where I've just been. And she said, well, I know you're in Dorset, so I presume you've been to Muddyford. I presume you've been and had a look at the house. And I went, I haven't just been to have a look at the house. I've been in the house. And she was like, you went in the house with a strange man? So, yeah, really good. And then as we were driving back, we were kind of going, oh, my God, perhaps the pond was bricked in because he was a serial killer. And
we were laughing. Genres on me. I'm thinking all romance, and now we're going to find the wife underneath the pond.
I know. It was really funny. And then my sister said to me, oh, my God, wouldn't it be amazing if you ended up marrying that man who lived in that house? He was a single man on his own, in fairness.
Okay, I'm sorry, Kim. How have you not written this story?
Maybe it's my future story.
I was going to say a woman goes back to her childhood home, with a book that that's just that's a lovely idea. Imagine what that would be.
But I just feel so honoured and privileged that I got to go back in that house like 40 years later. Unbelievable. Yeah.
That's amazing. What a great story with that book. You talk about that in that book, about that going back to I suppose it was afterwards, right? So you didn't get a chance to write about it in your letter or anything.
No, but
what a great story though. I love that. So are we 3 or 4 books? That was 4 books, is it?
Yeah, that was.
So tell us a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about your process in a minute, just because I know a lot of people are always interested. But let's just talk about your work in progress right now, because I know you are working on another book. I don't know how much you want to share, but talk a little bit about the inspiration for the next book and if you want to, anything you want to tell us about it.
Because the inspiration sits in front of me here when I got this Christmas card.
It's a beautiful card.
absolutely love it. And if you probably can't see on there, but it is all sparkly and glittery, and it's beautiful. And I just sat and looked at this card and thought, I need to write a book about that lighthouse. So I don't want to say too much about it because I haven't really talked about it much. I kind of want it to be a bit of a surprise, but it's about somebody who buys a lighthouse.
Great. And how far are you through that, Kim?
I've done my first draft, which is sitting over there. I've kind of gone through it and done all my manual corrections, which I then need to type back up, and then it's going to need to go to an editor to have somebody look at it and go, oh my God, what is this?
I always wondered if my editor thinks that. The hell is this? Was she drunk? Okay.
Yeah, first told this in one place, and why does she then change to be 2 foot taller? And
yeah, exactly. 40 different names for the same person.
Exactly.
So this actually leads us really nicely onto your process, because you're in the midst of your process right now. Tell us a little bit about how you get your ideas, and when you get your ideas, how you develop them. And then once that's kind of developing in your mind, how do you get that physically onto paper as far as like plotting or whatever you do?
I think for me, I kind of start off with, I'm a really fast typer. So I don't handwrite much, but I do kind of do sort of drawings like mind maps and things like that. I don't have one here, actually. It's upstairs. But I like to kind of draw my character arcs. I love colour. So, I mean, here I've just got pots with different coloured pens. And
wow, I'm like that. I'm very colourful. And for anyone who's sort of joining us, a character arc is the journey of the emotional journey of the character from the beginning to the end of the book, because you want your character to grow. So when she's talking about arc, she's talking about that growth in the character. So carry on, Kim.
So I kind of plot them out in sort of an arc with colour, and then I'll have all the characters on a page and sort of where their journey's going and things like that. And that's really all I have. And I have the ideas, and then as I sit at my computer and start typing, it just kind of pours out my head straight into my fingers.
And do you find that, do you write in order, or do you sometimes you get a really strong picture of a scene and you just go in and write that scene? How do you write your process?
I write in order, but what I also do is where's my book? I kind of write ideas down. So I'll write, I probably took them all out of here now, I think I have. I've kind of got loads of different things written on my pages in different colours, but then I'll write on a sticky note. If I just have an idea, I'll write, or a phrase that comes to mind, I'll write it on a sticky note and just stick it in my book. And then
so do you have a separate book for each book you're writing? Or okay, that's a good idea, because then you get an idea, or like you say, sometimes I'll get a quote that I'll write down really quickly or something, or
I've probably got on my desk here the ones that I've kind of, I don't know if I have actually, but then I'll go through and make sure that I've done all the bits that I wanted to in the book, if that makes sense. So these are my shopping lists. I'll go through my book then at my first draft stage, or even as I'm going along, so that when I sit down to write, because my writing time is quite valuable, because I'm doing it after work and stuff, and I feel very much that I need to sit down and type. So I like to kind of know what I'm typing, so I can kind of go to there and go, all right, I know I want to write about this today. So I kind of do that. But with this, she's actually doing up the lighthouse, so it's a bit different, because I'm kind of I'm looking at what would need doing and how long it would take.
And do you have to do research for that, Kim, as well through this book?
I wouldn't say lots of research, but I suppose it's just kind of thinking more about, how long would it take to, I suppose if we're going to fit a kitchen, you can't kind of go, well, this morning we went into the kitchen and we fitted the first cupboard and
Exactly. So is that altering the timeline for your book because what she is doing at the Lighthouse? So you have to really, are you keeping an accurate timeline with this?
I'm really, really rubbish at timelines. So I get really distracted. So I'll start off with a piece of paper, like when I was going through my first draft, and I was going, right, day 1, this happened, day 2. And then because I get into reading it, I'll kind of forget. And then I'll go, I forget what day we're on now. So then at some point I'm going to have to go back through, and then I'll go, oh well, she was going to do this on Thursday, but now it's Friday and it hasn't happened. Things like that do mess my.
In my very first book, I had a guy who was in a university, and one of those days, because I was back, I had to do a timeline with a calendar of a real year in the war. And one of the days he actually goes in on a Saturday morning, but I hope no one's noticed that. Because in other words, there was no other way because of where I was. I thought, I can't change it. So no one has caught it yet. But on one of those days, he's at school on the Saturday morning, but hey, he's doing extra work or whatever. But yeah, that's the killer, isn't it? Once you screw it up, trying to fix it.
But somebody said to me years ago that it was a really good idea to actually have a physical diary or a physical calendar. And I still haven't quite got around to doing it, to be honest. But I really think it's a good idea. I just need to put it into practice. And maybe
I should do that. I've never thought of doing that. If you had a calendar, you literally could be. What a good idea! You could keep it with your book, like, so you know which. Yeah, and write it down. You can get those little calendars that you could kind of slip into your book, even like sellotape it into the front of your book there, so at least you would know. That's a really good idea.
That's the stage where I want to do with this one, because I need to make sure, like at one point her mom comes to visit and she says, oh, mum's coming next week. And then, I don't know, the next day her mum comes, and I'm kind of, I think that's the one thing that I've struggled with, and it made me really aware of, is that you don't actually have to say everything in the book. So, you don't have to go, they went to bed on Monday, got up Tuesday, I got up Wednesday morning. You don't have to do that, do you? Because you can kind of go a few days later. But when I first started writing, I used to think, oh my God, I've got to tell everybody everything. And,
what she has for breakfast, what she's wearing.
Yeah. So that's definitely what I've learned along the way. Yeah,
you don't. And actually, I find the vaguer I can be, the better it is in the long run, because then people don't catch stuff like that. Particularly, the hardest thing in historical fiction is if you can't find something. If you like you say you're researching a phone and you just can't figure out what phone they would have had in 1942 and how it would look, then you have to kind of fudge it. You have to make a reference to it but not get into any detail. And I think sometimes that's better anyway, because then you do end up, not offending people by getting things wrong, because that does happen.
And I think there's a couple of times in this when I've gone through and I've kind of gone, this is happening on Thursday. And then I've gone, I don't even need to say it's Thursdays. I can just say it's later in the week. And then.
Exactly. And then no one makes it easier. No, I do that a lot too. A few days later or whatever, because then you haven't got to really pin it down. That's good. So you've already been through your first draft. So what would you say is the most challenging thing about your first draft, apart from bumming the seat? Is it like getting it finished, or is it like getting lost in the story, or what do you find challenging about a first draft?
Working out what I meant to say, probably.
Oh, okay.
Because there are times when I kind of go, what is that word even doing in there? And I think it's more just kind of connecting it. And somebody once said to me, which I really liked the kind of description of it, the first draft is you telling yourself the story.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, and then your second draft is you putting it into some sort of order.
For other people to understand. Yeah, I always come back to that. I'm telling myself the story. And I've told people this before, I often have chapters that will say, something wonderful happens here, but I'm not sure where I'm going. I don't stop and wait.
Yes.
I keep going,
Really important because, and I think as well, when I first started writing, I used to stop to research, like in Giddywell Grange, I think it was, they go on a cruise. And I'd got myself so obsessed with this bloody cruise. Like, and one day they needed to go to this country and it was going to be this long to take them. And I went off and I did loads of research, and I must have spent half a day researching cruising. You just need to write the book. You're just putting off writing the rest of the book. So So I put a big red sort of cross in it and just said research at the end.
Good idea.
It stopped the flow of me writing it.
Yeah, good for you. I do that too all the time. Well, it's a little more challenging with historical fiction because, you have to know some of the research. Fortunately, I have a husband that does that for me, which is great. But yeah, totally keep going. So once you first draft, pardon?
historical fiction. There is no way I could write.
It is. That's the most challenging. I just did an interview for somebody yesterday, and they said, "What is the hardest thing about historical fiction?" I go, because you have to fit a real story into a real world. Like, you can't fudge it. You can't pretend there was a bomb when there wasn't a bomb. You can't pretend the war started at a different time when it didn't start at that time. I said, if you suddenly have created a story where that doesn't work, you're the one that's got to change, because people will know. And so that is the most challenging thing, I think, about historical fiction, is that. And so particularly if you start moving the scenes around, it gets real messy. So you finish your first draft. So it sounds like you printed off. Did you say you're going to go through it? Is that what you were saying you've got to do next?
I think the reason I printed it off is because I work on my computer all day long, and I think that was an excuse not to sit at my computer at night time. The weather was better out here, and I thought what I really want to do is go and sit in the garden, read my book, because when I do it on my iPad, because sometimes I'll send the file to my iPad, and I'll start reading on my iPad, know that I want to change something, and so I'll go to my computer and I'll change it, and then I carry on reading on my computer, and then I'll kind of miss bits.
Yes.
And I wanted to read it as a book to see how it flowed. So I thought what I want to do is just take myself away, go and sit in the garden and sit and read it and scribble all over my, all over it.
Yeah. And you do see different mistakes when you read it on paper to when you see it on the computer. I don't know why that is. I mean, I don't do that very often, but whenever I do, I'm always like, how did I miss that on the computer? But you do. You miss all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So as we've got the last 10, 15 minutes, I'd love to finish up a little bit, because you do work for Bookouture, and I would love you to talk a little bit about Bookouture, what you do for Bookouture, and also if there are people who are watching this who are budding authors and do want to try and pitch Bookouture, give us a little bit about how they go about that and any tips you have for them.
Sure. So my job is over at Bookouture is head of publicity. So it's my job to get the word out about our books and our authors, and it's it's my dream job, and I absolutely love it. And I love the fact that I can kind of help people to promote their books. So it really is my dream job. But Bookouture is a company. We are a digital. I don't know if we call us digital first. We're a digital publisher, so we mainly concentrate on ebooks, but we do bring all our books out in print on demand at the same time. And if the authors give us their audio rights as well, they come out in audiobook as well. So all three come out on the same day. But we basically concentrate on the ebook more than anything, and we concentrate on getting that up the chart as much as we can. We publish commercial fiction, so we publish lots of psychological thrillers, lots of historical fiction, lots of women's fiction, sort of deep women's fiction, rom-coms. We've just set up a sci-fi and fantasy.
I'm excited about that. I can't wait to see what you bring out that way.
Yeah, it's literally been set up at the moment. We're just having sort of fortnightly meetings as to what it's going to be called. We don't even know at the minute what it's going to be called. We kind of just getting to that stage where we've got a few names and we're going to decide on a name, and then we need to go and do whatever we need to do, set up all the socials and everything like that. So that's really exciting. Bookouture also have a non-fiction imprint called Thread Books. That's well, since people out there that are doing non-fiction with us as well. So you can submit to us via the website, which is bookouture.com. And I'll perhaps put something in the
comments. And what would you give if you give them a tip? If somebody is pitching Bookouture, what are the things that Bookouture are looking for in that pitch? So that I want people to get as many books in front of, like manuscripts in front of editors as possible. So what sort of things are they looking for, and any tips that you could give people for doing that?
We do have on our Bookouture Facebook page, we've actually got a video which I think is pinned somewhere on the page of an hour-long chat that I had with our submissions manager at the time.
Okay.
Gives you absolutely loads. So if somebody is considering it, if you want to go over there and have a look, it's a really good place that will get you lots of information. But we're looking for things with a strong hook. We're looking for books with a strong sense of where that book needs to be. So, if it was a psychological thriller with a sci-fi fantasy element, that's not as cut and dried to sell as a straight psychological thriller. So we'd like to know where a book is going to be pitched, sort of exactly where it's going to be pitched. So yeah, I think it's about, you know, having a really strong hook.
Can you talk a little bit? I mean, I know what a hook is. Can you talk a little bit about what a hook is in case someone's never heard that term before?
For me, a hook is, you know, I always say, think about how you can sum up your book. And a really good way of looking at it, and one of the things that I looked at doing, is if you go to Netflix and you look at what the film is about. So Toy Story, for instance, you look at Toy Story and it'll say cowboy toy. I can't even think how it would work now. Something like cowboy toy gets upset when another toy comes into his world, and they work together to conquer the universe and become Andy's favourite toys together, or something like that. So it's about kind of summing up the book in that, so that you can tell somebody what the book is about, I suppose. And if you can't tell somebody what your book's about, because I know one of the things that I used to first kind of did was, well, it's a book, it's about a woman, and she did this, that, did this. So I think sometimes it's about finding what your book is about. So, you know, Sunshine and Second Chances, for instance, is about 4 middle-aged women who are all having a crisis in their life, and they go away on holiday and support each other to find a new way of living, something like that.
Yeah, and that's that thing, like you were saying, like if you're, I know that when you get, like, you don't do it so much now, but you get the newspaper for what was on in the cinema, those little blurbs that tell you what that story is about is how you get in. And so just so people are listening, if you hook, you want to make sure you let them know what world it's in a little bit, if you can. Let them know maybe the protagonist, maybe a little bit about the protagonist, and then the big thing that they're going to sort of figure out during the book. Like you just said, they've all had a crisis. We know the protagonists are women. We know it's set in a different country. And so we know basically what the setup is for that story.
So I suppose it's, you know, if somebody came up to you in the street and said, what's your book about? You've got 15 seconds to sell your book to me. It's you knowing as an author what your book is about. So you can pick to a publisher, so that the publisher, an editor can go to their team and kind of go, I've got this book, Suzanne Kelman. It's about it's a World War II book about a singer.
Yeah.
Meets, you know, her best friend is a scientist, and it's about their lives. And I don't know, Suzanne, what would you say the hook is for that?
Which book are you talking about?
One with Hedy Lamarr in it.
Oh yeah, 2 women who were scientists in their time. Neither one were ever invented incredible things, were never ever recognized for the work that they did to change the world of the war. They did incredible things during the war, and both of them never got the recognition they should have got. And they basically saved thousands of lives by the inventions that they made. So it's 2 women. Yeah, I know exactly. You've got to find that way. It's funny you should say that, because right now I'm just writing pitch synopsises for Isabel, for my editor, and I'm constantly redoing it because it helps me know what my book's about. The clearer I can get with, because I know not only have they got to sell it, but I want to be able to make my story really strong. So it's like I find that I keep going over and over it, because it's not that I don't think that Isabel wouldn't take it without a strong pitch. Hopefully she would, but it's like it really helps me get real clear about what the story's about and how can I make it even stronger,
The other great thing about Bookshore is that you don't need an agent. So
yes, thank you for mentioning that.
People can come to us direct. A lot of our very big authors don't have agents. We don't negotiate contracts, so we don't kind of, we don't argue with you and say that you can have an extra %. This is the terms. Those are the terms that we operate across everybody. We offer 45% royalty rate, which is really good. Some of the books go on to, we're now part of Hachette, and some of those books get picked up by Sphere and go into paperback and go into shops. But it's the ebooks that we concentrate more on anything, because even when you get a paperback deal, which a lot of people are so desperate and eager to get a paperback deal, and that is their dream, and that's absolutely fine if that is your dream. But I don't want people to be disillusioned by the fact that because their book's out in paperback, it's going to sell absolutely loads of copies, because you can sell loads of ebooks and make far more money on that.
I actually read a statistic just recently that the average for, and I'm talking about the big five, I'm not talking about like, you know, an indie published person, and not an indie because indies can do even better, but I'm just talking small presses. This is like big five, 250 copies total. Some books only ever sell 250 copies, and that can even be because they don't get as much publicity behind them. Here's the things I love about Bookature. If you are thinking of pitching them, one, everybody gets the same amount of attention. If you are published by them, they don't look at you and say, "Oh wow, you're really great in the world. We're going to make sure we put all our budget into that one author." We all get the same amount of attention. Everybody feels like a rock star. You don't feel like you're any lesser than any other. I think, because of that, because they don't do advances, which actually it sounds like that's a bad thing, but actually in the long term, one, we get quicker, because I literally just earned out an advance in a book I wrote 4 years ago. So, what is the point of waiting 4 years to get paid, which is basically after I got that advance? And what's nice, you're getting paid from day one, and also everyone has a level playing field. So you're getting as much as the next author to you. And it actually gives you a camaraderie between the authors. I think nobody feels like they're lesser or more than the other. It's some of the favorite things, I think, that when Oliver set up the company, he did it right, to do that.
Definitely. And I mean, we're a company now when, like I said, I started and Ollie was on his own. And there's now 50 of us at the company. So, we've grown massively. But I'd like to think that we've still kept all those same values that we had was on his own. And that's why I said, going right back to the very first question, that's why he was so inspirational to me, because he set up I don't know, what's the word? I can't even think of the word that I want to use. But the ethos of the company is what he set up, and it is still the same today as it was 10 years ago when he set it up, which is to care about our...
And let me ask you a question, Kim, because I know not just the authors, but everybody seems to love working for Bookature. And I'm not saying that there aren't people that don't leave and move on with their careers and stuff, but what do you think it is? Because I always feel like I am part of a big family. That's how it feels to me. And what do you think it is? Because even in the work, I know that you guys work really hard. You work long hours. And yet I don't really hear anybody moaning. Everybody seems to love what they're doing. What do you think that is?
I think we genuinely all love what we do. We love seeing the results. We love nothing more than knowing that one of our authors has been able to give up their day job to write full time. That is such a special thing to be part of, and to know that we've been able to do that for somebody. And it's just magical. Everybody, we're all invited to give our opinions about everything. So when a cover comes out, I don't even know if you know this, Suzanne, but when
I didn't know this actually.
Yeah, so when somebody comes out, so Isabel will go, okay, we've got some covers for Suzanne's new book. Here's 3 or 4, maybe even more different versions. Tell me what you like and what you don't like about them. So we kind of look at them and go, love the colours in that, love the person in that, love the background in that, love the sky in that, love the font in that. And it all comes together, and we're all, from publishing executives all the way up to the managing director, can have input into that. And
I never knew that. Isn't that incredible? I never knew that. What a wonderful opportunity for us, to have so many eyes on it, because, and I know that they will change a cover if they don't feel it's working there. I mean, that's another thing. They really keep on top of the promotional side of it. I mean, Alex does an incredible job with what he does in the company. You guys do an incredible job. We're very, very fortunate that we have an incredible publicity team that once our books go out, we do not feel alone. You do not feel like you're the only person trying to get things out there. We have a great team of supportive people that are out there, and you guys seem to enjoy it. I mean, it really is great that you do what you do.
My is made up from not publishing people, but Noelle, Sarah and Jess and myself. We've all come from a blogging background, because books, we love books, and then somebody gave us a job at promoting books. So what wouldn't you love about that? So we don't come from a publishing background where we kind of have come in, we've been to university, we've done, and that's the thing I love about Bookature. It kind of gives everybody a chance. You know,
and you're everyday readers too. I love that. You're not because sometimes you get people from a university background who are not really in touch with the everyday person who would actually be your reader.
Yeah, and some people might have been, you know, done a sort of a degree in English literature, and I read commercial books, so
Yeah,
I
I do
read
too.
books that we publish, and I often think, you know, I don't belong in publishing because I am a typical publishing person, but I think it helps us in Bookouture because we're not typical publishing people, not all
Wow,
of us.
we definitely think you belong in publishing. You are very well loved in the company. I don't know an author doesn't love Kim Nash and what she does, because you really are the heart and soul, not only in our Facebook group, but we just always feel very cared for by you and the team, by Noelle and by Sarah. You guys do an incredible job of making us feel very part of that. You need somebody who kind of brings us together, and I feel like you guys do that, particularly you, Kim. So we are winding up. It's been an hour already, can you believe it? But I want to leave people. You said you might have a book that's on sale in the UK. Do you want to talk a little bit about that before we leave?
Yeah, it's just you know, all my books are available in paperback or ebook or audio. But Amazing Grace, which is my first one, is still only on 99p for Kindle. In the UK, all the other books are $2.99 in the US if you're in the US. And also,
so some were unlimited, right? Which ones were unlimited?
Second Chances and Moonlight Over Muddleford Cove, which are the ones that I self-published, are both in Kindle Unlimited. So
you can get those for free if you're in Kindle Unlimited, which is great. So please try out Kim Nash. She's got that feel-good, romantic, you know, everyday people living their lives and falling in love books. And she always sets them in these incredible places. She always has a great setting. So please try out Kim Nash. And if you want to follow Kim, she's over on TikTok. Go over and do that after you watch this. She is Kim the Bookworm. She's also on Twitter and on Facebook and on Instagram as well as Kim the Bookworm, are you?
Kim underscore.
Kim the Bookworm. Yeah, so please go follow her. And Kim, I really want to thank you. It's been lovely to talk to you. It's so funny. We've known each other a while, but of course you always learn something new when you interview someone. So much I've learned about you today. And as I said, we are, as the heart of the other authors, I know we're really grateful for the work that you do for Bookouture and for the great fiction you put out in the world for us to read. So thank you very much for joining me today. It's been great.
Oh, thank you for having me. And then I'll just need to work out how to end the call.
Okay, so when you end the call, right at the top of the screen, there's like a little button with a round thing and a line through it. That's what you get. Because it took me a while to figure that out the first time too.
Thank you to everyone for joining us this evening. It was my first. I was a bit scared, but you've made it lovely for me, Suze.
Oh, I'm so glad. So you could, well, actually, if you joined at the end and you're worried that you've missed some stuff, this will be up on my YouTube channel. We'll also have it up on Twitter. It'll be on Facebook pages, and it's Suz Kelman, SUZKELMAN. Or it'll also be on KJ Waters. Oh yeah, the dog. We've got to end with a dog. She has the cutest coloured dog. He's just a sweetie. He's on all of her pages. So yeah, Suz Kelman at you can catch me too all over social media, and I'll have that up for you to see. So please don't miss this one. It's been a great interview. So thank you, Kim, and I'll chat to you again soon.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Thanks. Love you. Bye.